14900K has been benchmarked.
Starfield can run on a potato now.
DLSS can run on Jedi Survivor, and do not do this to your GPU. You won't get it replaced, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Wednesday, September 6, 2023. Happy Baldur's Gate 3 PlayStation 5 Day and Starfield Day for those of you who celebrate. Came out at midnight GMT, so same release worldwide, which meant it came out September 5th here in the US. It's a little weird of a launch that's happening there, but it seems like people are enjoying it. And a little weird launch that's happening in October is the 14th gen of Intel's upcoming processors. We have benchmarks from Geekbench with the 14900K showing this thing running at 6 gigahertz, doing really fast numbers with this Raptor Lake refresh, showing that it is better than the 13900K, also better than the 13900KS, but somehow significantly worse on multi-core, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's better in single core. Something was up with that multi-core performance. Maybe it overheated.
Maybe one of them just didn't feel like doing something.
It was lazy that day. It was just a little tired, you know?
He was hungover.
Yeah, hey, listen, when you got 24 cores running at the same time, one's gonna take a snooze every now and again. We'll have to wait and see more about Intel's 14th gen. We're expecting them to announce it officially later this month. But 6 gigahertz and a consumer chip, I remember when people were begging for 5 gigahertz from AMD. And now we're hitting 6 gigahertz on Intel.
It's crazy stuff.
The numbers keep going up.
I like when that happens.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Except for when it costs more.
Allegedly it's going to. We'll have to wait and see. But you don't have to wait and see if you check out today's video sponsor, because it's just 8 clicks or less. Today's video is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan. The UFD tech team, we recently drove all the way across America and back for LTX 2023, and we have the Cannonball for the Cure charity stream that we're doing that's also coming up in October. And in that time, we covered 8,000 miles of road with a further 6,000 miles of road that's coming up. And typically, as it happens when you cover that amount of distance, you see some pretty bad driving practices. And I'm pretty always mildly worried on our drive streams about getting into an accident. But thankfully, I know the one thing that I wouldn't be daunted by is the process of getting an injury claim submitted. And while I thankfully haven't had to use them, with Morgan & Morgan, submitting an injury claim is so easy. Morgan & Morgan has modernized the injury law process so you can submit a claim and have it reviewed by a lawyer without ever having to get up off your couch. You can sign documents, upload pictures, share medical records, and doctor bills all from your phone. You can even text with your attorney and case manager without having to physically go into an office. When you're injured in an accident, hiring an attorney is one of the first things that you should do. And with Morgan & Morgan, submitting a claim is so easy. More than 3 million people have trusted Morgan & Morgan when they were injured in an accident. And if you're ever in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. You can submit a claim in 8 clicks or less, and you can have America's largest injury law firm fighting for you. You can get started at forthepeople.com/UFD or dial pound law. That's pound 529 from your cell. Big thanks again to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's video. All right, Reece, you know what's a little bit harder than all of that?
What?
Running Starfield on a PC that was built before this year.
Before this year?
The amount of comments we got on yesterday's hot news about people having to retire their 1080 Ti for Starfield specifically.
Which I still think is incredibly sad. Like, everyone's been holding on to those 1080s because it was so good.
Worry not, because there's now a new mod over on Nexus Mods called Potato Mode, where it just detexturifies everything. Super performance textures, as they call it.
What do you need VRAM for?
To make it so that it runs faster, in case that's interesting to you, and in case you care about the Starfield bundle, which was the CPU and GPU that was getting auctioned off for charity. It's up to $5,100, and it's got 3 hours left as of the time of recording.
Small change. I know one of you guys can scoop that up.
I wish I could have afforded this, because this would have been so cool to give away. Oh man, I'm a little bummed that I can't afford to do that. And some games can't afford to launch in October because there's too many things coming out. We've already seen movement from Assassin's Creed Mirage. They moved up a week early. You also had Alan Wake 2 move their deadline. And now another one, Alone in the Dark, moving from October 25th to January. They're like, we're not even going to get purchased this year.
Not in the same ballpark.
Yeah, they said that it's not due to technical struggles, but they just want to avoid competing with the wake of Alan's epic release and Spider-Man.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't even know they were making another Alone in the Dark. It kind of got overshadowed by Alan Wake, which is also
It's in the same vein.
I saw David Harbour.
The Hellboy?
I was thinking from Stranger Things, but Hellboy too.
Yeah, that's what everybody knows him from. I
Yeah.
promise you that. And everybody knows cats from the video game Stray.
Allegedly.
You've never seen a cat before in your life besides that video
once.
game. Turns out they're making a movie of Stray. And they, quote, said that it's going to be the greatest hope punk movie that's ever been made.
Oh man, what the heck is Hope Punk?
A narrative concept that deems optimism as a form of resistance against tyranny.
Okay.
So it's like a teenage dystopian flick. This is Hunger Games.
My only question is it going to be a musical?
The cats don't sing.
They should, because then they can claim the title of the best Cats musical. Easy goal. Easy goal.
That makes so much sense.
You know what else makes sense?
What?
Deals.
Whoa, you did the transition! Look at you go!
And hey, deals.
Yummy, yummy deal master. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it today. I just wanted to mess with you a little bit.
First up, we have the Superflower LEDX Platinum SE, which is their 1000 watt 80 plus platinum fully modular power supply, which you can pick up for only $159 with the included promo code, making it $90 off. But next we have the Xbox Core wireless controller, which you can pick up in carbon black for only $44.
Hey, in case you broke your controller playing for Starfield, you need a new one for the Star game.
It's not as pretty as the Starfield one, but it's
That
way
is-
cheaper.
That's a significant price decrease. Thank you, Deal Master.
And then lastly, we have this LG monitor, which features 32 inches, 1440p, and 144 hertz, which are...
32 inches of 1440p, baby, I'll tell
It's
you.
not 19 inches of Venom, but it's
Oh, boy.
which you can pick up for $229.99, making it $120 off.
Yummy, yummy, Deal Master.
Yummy, yummy deal, master. And with that, the deals are done, and I'm gonna hand you off back to this guy. He's gonna spin into the chair.
This isn't a financial deal, Reece, but this is a good deal for anybody who builds PCs. ASUS with their Q series accessories, they've got a new one. It's a little less useful than the previous ones, but on their Mombos with the Q series stuff, they now have a Q connector for wireless antenna, so you don't have to screw them in
Whoa.
anymore. Look at that.
That is so much nicer.
My preferred thing was their Q latch for the M.2 SSDs, where you just kind of, you don't have to screw it in, but then also they had the Q release for the GPU, where it's like off to the side and you press a button and the slot comes up. This is still helpful. A little weird.
It's another step in the right direction, but at the same time, no one else is gonna do this.
Everybody adopts it afterwards.
They're better.
Yeah, well, you know, while ASUS is pushing the boundary of Mombo technology, United Airlines is pushing the boundary of bad technology because
My
they had
patience.
Oh, you're upset with them.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain?
No.
Okay, United Airlines
I've got beef with them.
grounding all of their flights due to a computer issue yesterday.
Uh-oh.
It was only for a few hours, which, like, if you missed your flight, so what? Who cares? But saying that they identified a fix for the technology issue and flights have resumed. This is after they had the exact same issue last week in the UK.
Uh-oh.
There appears to be an ongoing problem with the FAA, with airlines just being built on very outdated technology, and
It's all Windows XP.
probably not. Probably, like, they're probably running on, like, COBOL or something like that, just, like, from forever ago. But in case you want new tech for seeing how fast your computer is, Cinebench has a new benchmark, 2024, instead of the 2023.
Does
and
it
now,
look pretty?
I don't know, I haven't tested it out yet, but it does have a GPU benchmark again, which nobody used. So this really isn't a big deal unless it actually is gonna get adopted by benchmarkers. Instead of using things like TimeSpy or 3D Mark, they start using Cinebench for it. But new CPU, GPU stuff. The CPU is supposed to increase the memory footprint and increase computational effort, making it better for high core count CPUs. Works on x86, x64, Apple Silicon, Snapdragon for Windows, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
You just said words.
I make up all of the words that I say in hot news. None of this is real. And DLSS wasn't real for Star Wars Jedi Survivor because it was a named title at some point, making it only FSR and PC launch. But now, according to the latest patch 7, not only do PC players get DLSS added in, so you have additional performance options, they also fix some of the console stuff where performance mode has been completely reworked so that you can get a solid 60 FPS in performance mode. Good.
Good.
This is after Kyler played it on his PS5 and it was bad. Wasn't that right, Kyler?
Who did what?
Star Wars Survivor on the PS5?
Garbage.
Yeah, they updated so now it runs at 60.
Too little, too late.
Well, they still got your money, so it doesn't actually matter, does it? I got you. And MSI got this one buyer's money for their graphics card. Turns out, hey, if you use specific adapters on your GPU, you might not be able to get a warranty claim. So this is coming out after a cable mod 12V horsepower connector adapter caused
cool little 90-degree one.
Yeah, caused it to melt, and turns out that that is a significant problem. There's allegedly a lot of problems going around with this. Jay's 2 cents saying it's a daily occurrence. Otherwise, there's a lot of problems. Cable mod says that the failure rate on these is low and that it's not actually an overall problem, so they haven't issued a recall or anything. But this user submitted for a RMA from MSI on their 4090. MSI said, no luck, bub. Go talk to Cable Mod for that.
Yikes.
So that's exactly what's happening. They posted this issue over on Reddit where Cable Mod said that they're gonna get you covered for sure in full, but the user said that they haven't actually gotten help through Cable Mod support just yet, and that they've read other reports that Cable Mod has denied these replacements as well.
Double yikes.
Yes, so this raises a lot of interesting questions about at what point, yes, there are some details on the fact that the Cable Mod adapter is problematic, but at what point could these GPU companies then just be like, no, talk to the power supply company. This is not our problem anymore. Even though it is physically the connector that melted.
No.
It's not our problem. Nvidia not backing that up, because obviously that's also part of the issue here, releasing a connector that needs a lot of babying in order to make sure that it's actually firm and snug and not going to melt. It appears that if you're wanting to get an RMA for this type of stuff, make sure you're only using stock cables. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get more reports coming out of companies just denying it because they say, hey, sorry, it was your Corsair power supply.
Yeah, sorry, bub.
You had an ATX 3.0 power supply? That was the problem.
Why would you do that?
Wasn't the graphics card, it was your power supply. You should have thought, secondly, you should have used the adapter that we included in the graphics card box that makes you have the squid.
Yeah.
And then it would have been our fault, but it's yours otherwise.
Make your PCs look ugly.
I mean, if you want a refund on your $1,600 purchase, it does seem like that's the way to go. This is a very tricky situation.
I empathize with anyone who's going through this and hitting this kind of brick wall when you're trying to deal with support.
Yes, because AMD did have a good point when they talked about the fact that, like, you can't blame the end users for a design problem. Yes, you can tell them, hey, listen, if you are careful, this is how you prevent this from happening. But when this was never a problem before and you introduce a new technology that's having this happen, I'm on the side of Nvidia making sure that all of these actually get taken care of, rather than it being on Cable Mod to replace it or anybody else, because it was Nvidia's choice to roll out the connector.
Yeah. Bad move. Bad time for a lot of people.
Is it a bad time for comment response?
No, it's always a good time.
It's a good time? Okay, well, yesterday's episode was about the leaked benchmarks on the 7800 and 7700 XT. Don Schiffer says, I'm not sure why anyone expected any different. Every tech reviewer I know has been recommending AMD last gen for months, so why would AMD push the envelope when they are already the value leader? I think that is a good point if you don't think about the market as a whole. While AMD has been the value leader for people who are willing to buy AMD, they don't move that many graphics cards. Nvidia is still the vast majority of cards.
You're not going to gain any kind of mind share by holding on to the old last generation and not bringing something new to the table that people talk about.
Exactly. I think that the 7800 and 7700 XT present a problem not because where the 6800 XT wasn't good, it's that it could be better. They could absolutely just drive that knife home through Nvidia's throat a little bit more had they released either a faster GPU like the 7900 GRE at $499, or drop the price on the 7800 XT to make it so that they are stupid competitive.
Yeah.
Right now, all we're getting is like, yeah, I guess this is good if I'm willing to deal with AMD, which is not most people.
Yeah, it feels like a weird choice at the end of the day.
And I think people conflate me arguing that Nvidia is the vast majority of things because they think I support them in that. I don't. But if Nvidia did this, we would be roasting the crap out of them as well. I've seen so many screw-ups from AMD this generation that users have been willing to let slide because it's AMD. But I'm saying, based on principle, this is unacceptable from either side. Me no likey.
Me no likey.
Flaming Scar says, the 7800 XT will probably be my next GPU because of AV1. I'm not a YouTuber or streamer, but I do play a lot of wireless VR with my Meta Quest 2. The Quest 3 later this year will support AV1. I had no idea that was coming out.
Which is really cool, especially if you're doing, what do they call it? Airlink? So you're just completely wireless and still using Steam and your PC to power everything.
Yeah.
That is actually a very good point.
Very valid reason to do it.
Invested in the VR space, this could actually be a nice upgrade.
I see a lot of sensibility to that. That's one of the feature sets that AV1, I guess, can bring. Octagonal Square, great name, says, Brett's pure chaos during the deals will be one thing I miss most when Reece leaves. That and Reece himself. That's
yummy.
Bundy coming in with a spicy old comment saying, but buying the 7000 series does make sense to me. If last-gen AMD cards cost and perform almost identically with the new cards, I still want the new cards because the new AI compute units that will be exploited whenever they finally finish FSR 3. It's the same argument with why you'd want a 40 series card over a 30 series. The newer generation will run the new software, while the last gen won't do it as well. It is literally the same argument for buying a 40 series over the 30 series, but because it's AMD, you ignore it and just say the 7000 series doesn't outperform the 6000 series, so it's crap. Shake my head. This is why they don't send you cards. Just having to throw that little painful dagger at my heart right at the end. But there was a lot of responses to this. Number one, Skis Man saying, I wouldn't hold out for AMD to use their AI compute cores. Again, one of the problems is you don't buy technology currently for what it can do in the future because, hey, guess what? AMD misses deadlines a lot on delivering software. If we think that FSR 3 is coming in January whenever they promised, that's great. I want to believe that too. But they've already missed several deadlines. We have no actual basis from which we can say, hey, you're actually going to do it this time, besides being like, they couldn't miss another deadline, could it? Like,
aren't we almost a year late at this point?
I mean, they announced it in January.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's rough. And then Mark Horick saying, there is a key difference missing your example, though, which is at least for the 4080, 4090, the raw performance jump is also massive. It absolutely is. And that the DLSS advancements in frame gen are just icing on the cake and not a crutch for future performance and just a nice bonus. AMD releasing new cards that are barely any better performance, of course, is going to ring alarm bells, and I don't see why anyone would buy new gen cards knowing performance is nearly the same unless you need AV1 feature sets. I also agree with this. The 4060, 4060 Ti, and 4070, they're not that much faster than the previous gen. So they got roasted for it, as AMD should for the 7800 XT if it's barely beating out the 6800 XT. That's my stance. But I wholly admit, the 7900 XTX, the best GPU AMD's released.
Yeah.
I love that card. Absolutely think it's in a class of its own. Price makes sense, performance is great, but also the 4090 still makes sense by that logic. I like the 4090 as well, but I think if we're roasting Nvidia for certain things, being like, well, Nvidia did it, is not an argument for being okay with AMD doing it.
I agree with that.
Web Studios has a very long comment essentially saying, I want more regional pricing on UFD for UFD deals. You want to explain this one? He's a South African. This is not a weird American bias here.
Time.
It's a lot of time to find deals for various regions, and also from a business side of things, we don't have affiliate links in every country on the planet.
That is true. No, like not just the monetization aspect of it. It's I don't have the time to both find deals, do everything else, and then like perform maintenance on everything too. Adding more regions would just swamp me so bad. I would love to do it.
But they also bring up that Hardware Unboxed is in Australia, but they do USD. That's because the manufacturers also do that. They set the prices and launch the prices in USD, and then it gets regionally converted from there. Yeah. So it's easier if we say USD, and then people in South Africa can go find out what the local price is.
I'm way more used to converting automatically in my head from USD than any other currency.
Yeah.
It's just a standard at this point for a reason.
Sorry, friend. It's not likely to happen anytime soon. Daryl Jack saying, I never seen Reece want to say W2F more than when Brett called him Deal Master. And then also Bamboo Belly saying, I just got my hands on a Montech Sky 2 case. Can't wait to get started on my dream PC build. Won the case via a giveaway hosted by Wootware.
Hey, yo!
Shouts out Wootware. See, I lived in South Africa. We started the channel internationally, and I would give prices in Rand for the local audience, but also USD for everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, instead of listing prices for 20 different regions, you do USD and everyone's, oh, I know USD, let me do a quick conversion.
It makes it very, yeah, it's, sorry.
We went back a question
you
there
need
for a sec.
super niche creators in order to get it in your local currency. That is just how, me as a US-based creator, I don't have the functionality. I don't think in your currency. I don't think in your region. It would take a lot of effort to do it. Additionally, why Australia and not Germany? And then why not Brazil? And then why not India? And then why not China? And then you run out of time.
We would have to price things locally and check local availability, which also muddies the waters quite a bit there.
Yes. K-Nut said, this game made me upgrade for my 1080 Ti. Hope the 4070 Ti keeps relevant the same amount of time. You bought a flagship, and then you're hoping the mid-tier lasts as long as the flagship? I have bad news for you. You bought a mid-tier card.
It's a nice upgrade.
It is a good upgrade, but it's a mid-tier card. It's not going to last as long as the flagship. If you got a 4090, then, you know, maybe. But whatever you say, fam said, please more Deals Goblin. We'll see.
Deals Goblin. Kyler off in the background there.
He does not want it. And then Teehee85 says, can always buy another TV to play PS5 on it. You don't think I tried that? I have a whole video where I did the ultimate bed gaming setup. I've really worked to figure that a second TV is a subpar solution.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm sorry.
Where do you easily store 2 TVs as well?
You'd have to get smaller ones.
Yeah.
You'd like shrink down to
There's a
32
compromise
inches to fit side by side, or you'd have to wall mount to. It's way more complicated to do it that way. The PlayStation Portal for 200 bones is gonna be my sweet spot, unfortunately.
Nice little screen. I can live with that future.
I can't live with the future of you leaving. I'm so bothered by it. I will keep mentioning it until it happens. See you for the next hot news tomorrow.
I'm leaving.
I want to cry.
Ow. Whoa, there's a coyote.